Hi, my name's Elizabeth Foster, founder of Connect to Coach, and many people find that they have life and business challenges and they just don't know where to go and the right kind of support that they need. And so what we do in Connect to Coach is we connect people that are looking for personal professional development with the right kind of coach. And we have a specific, unique coach matching system that we use to make sure that you get the results faster and that you get the results that you want with your businesses or in your personal professional life. And today I have the pleasure of talking with one of our amazing coaches, and her name is Mary, and she has a coaching company called The Last Big Gig, and she works with women to create inspirational and lucrative professional finales to their life, and I just love what she does. So let's find out a little bit more. Welcome, Mary. It's a pleasure to talk with you today.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
So I just want to ask you a couple of questions. What really, what was that determining moment for you? Why did you decide to become a coach?
Well, I came to coaching late in life, which is true of many of my clients as well. So I was in corporate America. I ran my own consulting business to corporate America. And then sort of what I thought was my last big gig, I was a venture-backed CEO in a startup company that we ended up selling when I was 59, 60 years old. And I realized that, no, I was not really done. So as I started to look for resources to help me, because I knew I wanted to do something, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I realized very quickly that most people don't think women over 60 work, and that they don't provide any kinds of resources to actually help them do what they want to do at that point in their lives and their careers. So if you can't find help, you create businesses. And so I got a coach of my own for the first time. I worked with her and more on a life basis, and she helped inspire me to actually step out and become a coach myself and to offer these services to women like me.
I love that. I love that. That is just so cool. So it might be a strange question, but why do your clients work with Last Big Gig?
Well, most of my clients have had very successful professional lives, but they've usually done the same thing for a long period of time. They're not entrepreneurs. They are doctors, lawyers, corporate executives. And all that happens is someplace after 50, they sort of look up one day and say, this isn't fulfilling any longer. This is not exciting me. This feels like work, and I don't want it to feel like this. But they don't really know what to do. So the problem with traditional places to go is that it really tries to get you to just do more of the same kind. And so my clients work with Last Big Gig because we start in a completely different place, and we help them create not necessarily new businesses, although for some of my clients we do help them create new businesses, but completely new professional opportunities that leverage what they love to do and allows them to do the kinds of things they really want to do at that stage in their careers. And to balance their lives. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. Yeah, balance their lives. I mean, we all need balance in our life, that's for sure. So what are some of the challenges that in actually communicating what you do to those clients?
Well, two basic challenges. One is that a lot of women, when they get that feeling at that point in their lives, it never occurs to them that there are possibilities and opportunities to get that kind of support. Mm-hmm. Because as a culture, we don't really encourage people after the age of 60 to think about creating new opportunities, despite people like Grandma Moses and Maya Angelou and many, many people who have amazing careers after the age of 50, mm-hmm. doing unbelievable things. But culturally, we don't encourage that. And so a lot of women don't even think to look. And frankly, if they do look, there isn't a whole lot. But the other piece is that many of those women have never had a coach in their lives. They think of coaches as for their children's sports, or they think of it if they're trying to change jobs, but they haven't actually had a coaching experience. So they don't know what kind of amazing support that can provide them. So they have a problem they don't think anybody else has, and they aren't experienced using the resources that in fact are available.
Huh. So that's really cool. I love how you say that. So if you don't mind, could you share an example of one of your clients' results?
Sure. So I'm just finishing working with just a fabulous woman. She is trained as a lawyer. She taught at a very prestigious university, business law in the business school, and she did it for 25, 30 years, very successfully, and woke up one day and said, I really don't want to do this anymore. Mm. And when I met her a year ago, she had, I think, 8 or 9 different things that she could imagine she might want to do and had no way either to prioritize or figure out how to do them. Right. So we started working together, and we start in a completely different place, because we don't start with what do you want to do. We start with what makes you happy. Personally, professionally, where does happiness live in your soul and in your personality and in your experiences? And from that, we use tools, vetted tools called design thinking, to get to design criteria. Mm-hmm. So it allows you to look at possibilities through the lens that will make you most happy. And so we very quickly, we did a couple of very in-depth days and got down to 3 of these possibilities designed against her criteria. She spent a couple of months with my support, figuring out, were they real and how did she really feel about them as she learned more about them. Mm-hmm. And at that point, she made a decision about one, and she started to get some additional training. She needed a couple of months of training. And then I worked with her for the last 6 months to create a whole new position, create a strategic relationship. So she has her audience. She doesn't have to do marketing. She has a partner to do the marketing. And the partner loves her. And so she has become an elder care mediator, which is she goes in at the end of life and helps families, children, adults, caretakers, negotiate the kind of end of life experience that people want to have. How do they want to be treated? Where do they want to live? And she's so excited and she's so happy. And one of the things that people don't realize is when you are happy and fulfilled in what you are doing, it overflows into all the rest of your life. So because balance was a big issue for her, and we were able to make that work as well. So that's sort of an example of the kind of work we do.
So that's cool. So she went from being a professor, being a teacher and a lawyer, to still similarly in that world, but just doing something that was much more fulfilling to her. That's incredible. Good for you. So, why do you think? So why is working with Last Big Gig different from, say, working with another career or transition company? I mean, what makes you different?
Well, there are 2 things primarily. One is that most traditional career coaches and career transition coaches are helping you to utilize what you've done in the past to do very similar things in the future. And if that's what you want to do, there are some amazing people. And I actually have some great friends, and I would be happy to make recommendations because they really are exceptionally good at that. Mm-hmm. What Big Gig does is really for those people who have spent 25 or 30 years doing one thing, all they know is they don't want to do that. But they may have some ideas, but they don't know exactly what they want to do, and they don't even know how to approach it. The second reason to work with Big Gig is we design from the inside out as opposed to from your resume. So we're not going to start by looking at all the amazing successes you've had and the skills and talents you have and what you've done. We're going to really start with, what do you love? What do you love to do? How do you love to work? What difference do you want to make? And we design from the inside out. So for some people, that helps them get to that sense of fulfillment and that sense of balance and that sense of being able to leave a legacy in a way that actually is much easier and a lot more fun than sort of a very logical in your head, we'll take this piece and we'll turn it into that piece.
And I can imagine that going, taking people from the inside out is actually a much more natural way of working with them as opposed to the other way around.
Well, at the very least, it's a very novel way because most of these people have had a lot of probably career coaching. They're very good at filling out the psychological forms. They know their Myers-Briggs. They know all that, but it all takes place in their heads.
Right.
What they don't have a lot of experience about is connecting their heads to their hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're about is helping them do that because that's the part that at this point in their lives brings a lot of satisfaction and fulfillment.
I love that. That's so cool. So what do your clients actually tell you about their coaching experience with you?
Well, they tell me it's a lot more fun than they thought.
That's always a great start. I like that.
Well, because they start from a space of being anxious, right? I know I want to do this new thing, but I'm really walking out of my sphere of comfort. If you've been successful, it's hard to leave what feels good and comfortable and try something new. So there's anxiety and there's fear of, is this going to be a lot of work? And is this going to be really hard? And what they discover very quickly is the tools are fabulous. Design thinking are tools that are used in many different ways. I've adapted them to this particular purpose, but they're fun and they're exciting and they help you see yourself very quickly from a different perspective, which is energizing and rejuvenating. So the process suddenly looks like you've gone to camp and you get to go on excursions as opposed to, oh my gosh, I have to get up today and figure out what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So what they tell me is it's a lot more fun than they thought. It's a lot easier than they thought. It's really exciting at this age to be able to see yourself differently, right? Because we get pretty good at seeing ourselves one way.
Yeah.
And when they actually get to the place where they're making a difference in the world and they're doing something that they really love and it fits into the lifestyle they want, they are just amazingly excited. And for me, that's just incredibly rewarding.
I love that. And actually that leads me very much on to the next question, which was actually, what's your greatest joy in coaching? But I think you just answered it.
Well, my greatest joy is twofold. One is there is always a moment in the journey where they look up at me and they just have this fire in their eyes and they suddenly have reconnected with what makes them alive. And they didn't expect to feel that way again.
How beautiful.
So when that happens, that's the juice for me. And the second thing is when they come back and they realize that they've created something that really works exactly what for them, that's really powerful. And so those two moments in the journey are the pieces that keep me doing it over and over again.
I love it. That's so great. That's so great. Okay, so tell me, we've learned a little bit about you as a coach, but let's take you outside the coaching world. What do you do? And I know that coaching is all about life balance and everything else, but what does Mary do to balance her life? What does she do outside?
Well, I'm sort of a new experience junkie. So
Okay.
I
Great.
love to travel. So I love I love new places. I love new people. I love learning new things. I like having new experiences. So a lot of the time that I'm not working, I am traveling short trips, long trips, always with something that stretches me a little out of my comfort zone. The second thing that is new in my life is I am a relatively new grandmother. And so I am just getting an enormous amount of joy and wonder and learning from my new grandson. And last, I love to garden. I love to nurture things. I love to see them start as little seedlings and to experience them and then to watch them end, because too often we don't appreciate that ends are beginnings. And that's sort of something I help my clients realize, that just because something's ending doesn't mean there aren't amazing new possibilities going forward. And we don't, in our culture, often think of after 60 having amazing new possibilities. So I love the fact that there are beginnings and middles and ends and new beginnings.
It sounds wonderful. So it sounds like you definitely walk your talk as a coach. So on another personal note, and I like to ask this question. So who do you admire and why?
So I admire my clients first and foremost, because I am incredibly blessed to work with amazing, amazing women. And the reality is we are all capable of being amazing women when we trust ourselves and let ourselves be who we're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I learn an amazing amount from my clients. I also admire women who find ways to make a difference after 60, when most of us are encouraged to stay home and really start to shut down our lives. So people like Grandma Moses and Maya Angelou, and women who really understand that if you aren't creating, you are dying. And so the opportunity is what creations can you do from the point of experience and all of the gifts that you've accumulated? What can you bring forth in the world? And often they're doing things that make huge differences in the world for many of us. And to me, that's just sort of magical.
I like that. Yeah, I think you nailed it there, my dear. You nailed it there. So we're just going to finish up now. But before we do you have any tips for listeners who might be wanting to create a more satisfying work or career option for themselves?
Yeah, I have two. So the first one is do a happiness profile. So make a list of experiences, personal and professional, in your life where you were truly happy.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have that list, then go back to each one and really parse it a little more particularly. So if you say, wow, when I ran that 10K, I felt fabulous. It was good. I was a happy place. I want you to go back and really think about the experience. Was it the prepping for the race? Was it the anticipation, before the race started, being with all those people? Was it the start of the race and the forward motion? Was it the actual race and the milestones? Was it the end of the race and the accomplishment? Because often, if you start to look at a pattern, you'll begin to find that there's an aspect of the experience that is particularly important to you. And it helps you think about, how can I take the things I'm doing now and really make sure that I'm optimizing that aspect? And really clear that that's where I get my joy. And the second thing is to think about and make a list. Just let go of the brain constraints of what would you really like to leave as a legacy? Because so often we think of doing that in the later years of our life, and there are often more opportunities and time to do it then. But the reality is you can start making small contributions right now, and connecting what is important to you as a legacy to what you do now will make it more satisfying and fulfilling. So those are my two tips for how to take where you are right now and make it happier.
Oh, Mary, I've so enjoyed talking with you. Thank you. And I think that anybody who starts working with you, I highly recommend you, but anyone that starts working with you is going to be a very lucky person. Thank you for taking the time today, and I appreciate you coming on.
Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. Thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.